Hi, my name is Nate Gilman, and I'm from MMC's, the Coast Guard Licensing Software. We're going to show you everywhere in the country that is near coastal versus inland waters. We're going to start up in Maine. We're going to work our way down the East Coast, go through the Gulf, we'll move over to the West Coast, move up through Washington State, and then up to Alaska. Make sure to subscribe to these videos, they're pretty cool. It's going to be a long one, but you'll see shorter ones available if you really care about just your average area. We're going to start here in New England. So moving into New England as we're cruising along. You see, starting up in Canada, working our way down. Anything on this side of the line, so anything out in the Gulf of Maine, is going to be near coastal waters. Anything inside here, so if you're cruising along and you did not cross over, you are going to be on inland waters. So near coastal, inland, as we're sitting here making our way across. So if you're in the Penobscot Bay, you sail out past Vinalhaven and you don't make it outside of the islands. If you stay inside the islands, you are in inland waters. You make it over here, you're going to be in near coastal waters, right? So if you spend all of your time sailing around, you are still in inland waters. The second you touch that outside this line, you're going to be in near coastal waters. So if you're sailing out of Booth Bay, inland, near coastal. And as we make our way down the coast, we're getting out of Portland. So if you're sailing out of Portland, you can see you got to make it a pretty far distance out there, right? So we can measure real quick and say, that's about 10 miles offshore, just under that. So if you're within 10 miles of shore, you're still pretty much inland there. And this bounces back and forth. So there's no clean straight line. So you got to look at the chart, figure it out, think about where you were. These aren't on the actual nautical charts. You got to lay down these points yourself on your chart. They're found in 46 CFR Part 7, and they're all mapped out. That's where all this data comes from. So as we make our way down to Kittery, Maine and Portsmouth, New Hampshire, you can see that everything that most people think of as near coastal, when they leave that harbor coming out of Kittery and Portsmouth, you're actually still all on inland waters. And it's not until you make it quite a ways out there, getting over here, that you're in inland waters. This also means that you can sail with an inland captain's license all the way from Canada down here to Portsmouth, Newburyport, and Mass. You can make your way around Rockport, sail into Gloucester still with an inland. But as long as you stay inside of that boundary line, stay on inland waters, you don't need a near coastal license. So depending on where you are and what you're doing, you can use it that way as well. As you make your way in, you can see here in Boston, it's all the way out here is where the near coastal line is, right? So it's not in at the harbor mouth where everyone thinks it is. You got to go all the way outside the islands, make your way out, and be pretty far offshore. And it's a line from that harbor mouth way offshore down to the province town on the end of Cape Cod is all the difference, where this is near coastal and this is all inland. So all of Cape Cod Bay is inland. Making your way around, so we've gone down off the Cape. We're sitting here off Chatham. So basically from Chatham, going offshore quite a ways to Nantucket, that whole body of water is all inland waters. This is all near coastal out here. As you make your way towards the Vineyard, so everything going between Falmouth and the Vineyard is all inland waters. So these only need to be inland licenses. These don't need to be near coastal licenses. But the second you go on the other side of the Vineyard or Nantucket, this is all near coastal water. If you come through the bay and say you go through the canal, you end up at Buzzards Bay and you're working your way down. Everything in Newport, so all in Narragansett Harbor or Narragansett Bay, coming in all the way offshore, all the way down here to Block Island, is all inland water. So this is all inland, near coastal, right? So if you're sailing all around Block Island Sound, you are still on inland waters, coming all the way down to Montauk. So it's this line that goes through Block Island, down to Montauk and Long Island. That's all inland waters. If you're on the Atlantic side of Long Island, you will be in near coastal. Anything on the inside is going to be inland waters. And so you can see there's a couple little spots. So if you're at Shinnecock and you're just on the inside playing around the bays, that's all inland. But the second you cross this threshold, you're now in near coastal waters. And as we're making our way down, you can see in the Hamptons, as you have it coming across. Once you cross that entryway, this is near coastal, this is all inland. This gets much more self-explanatory. Now we're on Fire Island. Come down on the tip of Fire Island on the south side. You know, this is inland waters, all inside, and this is near coastal. Near coastal going all the way down. And then as we're getting to the entrance of New York, New Jersey, we can see that basically from the tip coming out is pretty far for the lower bay of Manhattan. The upper bay is all still inland, all inland here. So all the ferries that are running back and forth, you only need an inland license. You don't need near coastal. And it's only if you're working off here that you'll need a near coastal endorsement. But that also means if you're working and we're playing on a boat, this is all inland waters and you don't get credit for near coastal until you touch your boat outside of here. Working our way down south through New Jersey, we can see basically anywhere that you're outside of the sandbars, you're going to be in near coastal. So Barnegat Bay, once you're outside of Barnegat Light and you come around, we can see there's a pretty clear distinction. Moving down here, you can see there's inland waters here in Great Bay and Rutgers, University Marine Station, and then you can see the near coastal is going to be outside of there. These lines are old, so they don't follow exactly where the coastline is because the coastline has shifted as we've had hurricanes and different coastal erosion happen, but the lines are still there, written in federal law, so it's whether or not you're near coastal or inland. Same thing down here in Atlantic City. Everything inside Atlantic City is going to be inland. Outside the breakers or the breakwater is going to be near coastal. As we continue to work our way down here, you can see the same thing. This is all inland. This is near coastal. Moving our way down here to the Delaware Bay, Cape May. So we have the one opening where if you're coming around, you have your boat and you're sailing here, this is all inland, and the second you cross that threshold you get credit for near coastal. The rule is if you touch near coastal, that becomes where you get for that day, so you can count that whole day as near coastal. So Delaware Bay is pretty self-explanatory. It's from Cape May coming all over to Cape Hopelin or Henpelin, Hanalopen, there we go. As we make our way down, we can see right here off of Indian River Inlet, you got to go outside the shoreline to make sure it happens off the safe water buoy. And as we make our way down here through Bethany to Ocean City, Maryland, same thing. You know, if you're playing around inland, it's pretty self-explanatory, but the second you hit that near coastal line, it gets a lot easier. As we make our way down to Assateague and Chincoteague, you can see there's a line from Wallops that comes over to Chincoteague, and you can see the whole parts come together. This is all inland, this is all near coastal, right? So we'll zoom way out. Inland, near coastal. And as we go in, we can see also the Chesapeake Bay. This is all inland. But as we come down on the tip, you can see this is all going to be inland. This is all going to be near coastal. This is all going to be inland up the James River, up the York River, Yorktown, Newport News, Norfolk. All the ICW as you start going through the Great Dismal Swamp, that's all going to be inland as well. But the second you touch out here into the Atlantic Ocean, that becomes near coastal waters. We can see here in Virginia Beach, down at the opening near Grom's, little surfing spot. You can come out, you got to be way out near the safe water buoy outside of there to have your near coastal time count. So if you're working on a dredge, you have to be near coastal as you're working out here, whereas if you were right inside the line, you would only have to have a near inland captain's license. As we make our way down here, we'll go down to the Carolinas. So you can see in the Carolinas, we got Oregon Inlet, where Oregon Inlet has a kind of jaunty line because of the shifting sandbars. But all of Pimlico Sound is all inland. You have to be outside of the Outer Banks to count as near coastal. Same thing with coming around Hatteras. You have to be inland or near coastal. This is all inland. This is all near coastal. Working our way over. inland and near coastal. If you're working here off Morehead City, everything inside is going to be inland, right? All the way down to around the point. But anything outside of Morehead City, outside Atlantic Beach, cruising around off the point, you're going to be at, or the Cape Lookout, you're going to be in near coastal waters. So this is all near coastal. Same thing as we make our way down the beach. This is all near coastal. Whereas here in Wilmington, once you make your way out, this is inland and this is near coastal. At the very tip down here at Bald Head Island, you can see there's a little opening. So this is going to be your inland waters all the way up the Cape Fear River. As you make your way up, that is all inland waters. And this is all near coastal, right? So if you're off Frying Pan Shoals, making your way around, that's all near coastal waters. Coming down along, these are all near coastal waters. Whereas if you're up in the ICW, that is all inland. The whole time in ICW is inland. You know, off of South Carolina is pretty straightforward. If you're on the ocean side, you are in near coastal waters. Here at Murrells Inlet, you can see there's a little line here, which means everything inside of here is inland. Everything on the outside is near coastal. Also, just using common sense down here along most of the Atlantic side, for North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, it's going to be all, if you're off the shoreline, you are in near coastal. If you're inside or in one of the small inlets or bays, you're going to be in inland waters. An exception here is off of Georgetown and coming down off of the Wayna Bay. You have a small excursion area they have to make sure you get outside of to count as near coastal waters. And the same thing as you're coming down here off Charleston, right? So everyone thinks when they go outside of Sullivan's Island, they're in near coastal waters, but you have to actually make it all the way out to the safe water buoy or on either side of the line. They count as near coastal. So if you're off Island of Palms, down off Foley Beach, this is all near coastal. This is inland waters all the way up through Charleston Bay. And then the same thing coming down here between Kiowa and Foley. If you're along the Kiowa River or you're pretty far near shoreline on Kiowa Island, this is all inland. And this is going to be near coastal on either side. Same with between Seabrook and Kiowa, that you have this line where you have to be, this is all near coastal, and then this is inland the whole way coming in. So if you don't make it outside, that counts as a inland sea day. But if you make it outside there, that day counts as a near coastal sea day. Makes quite a bit of sense coming down off Edisto and Hunting Island, where it's pretty clear and straightforward that this is all near coastal and this is all inland waters. You know, off Hilton Head and Tybee, getting down to Savannah. There is a pretty interesting cutout here. So coming down off Savannah, you have some distance where you can sail on an inland license inside, or the other way to think about it is you need to go outside of this line if you're going to be sailing, you need sailing on near coastal waters, right? So this is a pretty good distance to make it across there. So keep making our way down. You can see another cutout for inland to try to help people off Brunswick, Georgia, as we're making our way down to the north tips of north part of Florida on the Atlantic coast. So this is all the Atlantic Ocean and near coastal waters, and this is all inland waters on this side. As you can see as we're coming down, then we get into these kind of classic cutoffs again where they go out to the safe water buoy. So making sure that this is all near coastal, and then anywhere up, you're up the Jacksonville River, you're in that turning basin, you're coming in that main part is all going to be inland waters. Same thing as we make our way down to San Augustine, just out to the safe water buoy is going to be where you have to go outside of to get that near coastal time. As we make our way down, we'll see a couple more examples of that. You know, in Ponce Inlet, we'll see it down here further south. As we make our way to Canaveral, same thing. This is all near coastal. This is all inland. As we make our way down, Same thing, right? Like here, Fort Pierce and St. Lucie, a little bit, you may have to make it outside of that safe water buoy. This is all near coastal. This is all inland waters, which is pretty easy for you guys because you end up ripping out there quite a bit. Same thing as it comes over, coming down off Jupiter. As it comes over, this is all near coastal. This is inland. These ones are a little bit easier. They don't have any of the hidden areas, whereas you're going to see an interesting thing when we get to the Gulf of Mexico. Say inland here at Fort Lauderdale and everything inside of Fort Lauderdale and Dania, whereas here's near coastal on the other side. But starting in Miami, this is where it gets really interesting. So this is all inland. I'm just going to shoot out. I'm just going to shoot out, you know, probably about 2 miles offshore in the beginning. And it's going to make a line going all the way down towards the Keys. So it's getting all the Biscayne Bay. All of this is inland, which means if you have an inland captain's license, you can take passengers for hire inside here. Whereas if you need a near coastal license to be out here, the inverse is if you're trying to gather sea days, you're on your own boat or you're on someone else's and you're not sailing on that license that you already have, you can get credit for near coastal time the second you touch outside this boundary line for 1 day. And so as we make our way along, you'll see the whole Keys have a line that's just, a couple miles off. It bounces back and forth, but you want to make sure to look at your chart plotter and figure out how lay out this line for you. You can find it in the 46 CFR Part 7 boundary lines, but you want to make sure that's there on your chart so you know if you're inland and you're coastal. And as we're coming all the way down the Keys, you can see it goes all the way to the tip of the Keys. These are all inland. So this means every captain sailing in the Keys does not need a near coastal license. You only need an inland license as long as you stay within these boundary lines for taking passengers out on your boat, which is kind of an interesting thing. So just keeping that in mind as you're going, but it also means you won't get credit. So we're gonna hit a pretty straight line, and then we're gonna start this 12 nautical miles offshore, which is a straight line that starts right here. This is gonna go for the whole Gulf of Mexico. So I'm gonna zoom out and show you the entire Gulf of Mexico has no in or outs. It is a 12-mile line from the shoreline that follows all the way across that says whether or not you are in inland or near coastal waters. So technically, you can drive a boat from Mexico right here, and you can start, and as long as you stay within 12 nautical miles of shore, you can take your OUPV inland, your Master Unlimited inland, your 100-ton inland, 25-ton inland, and you can take a vessel as long as you're certified in the rest of the way within 12 nautical miles of shore. You can take that all the way across and all the way down, all the way around and into Miami. So that whole Miami and the 12 nautical miles in the Gulf of America are all set up on that same distance line, which means you have to go 12 nautical miles offshore to get a near coastal day anywhere in the Gulf of America. So it's pretty cool, but it also means you got to make sure to go all the way offshore to get your day to make it near coastal. We're going to jump out to some of the easier ones now. So we're going to move over to San Diego. San Diego is a pretty straightforward line that if you're off Coronado, sailing down San Diego and this west coast in California, if you come outside, this is all near coastal. If you're in the bay, it's inland. Same thing with if you're sailing down here in Mission Beach, inland and near coastal. So if you're anywhere inside of the bay, you are inland. Anywhere offshore here in La Jolla, all the way along, is going to be near coastal time. So we're going to see the same thing with Del Mar, same thing with Oceanside. There's a small red line. So you can see there's the breakwater. So outside the breakwater, you are near coastal. Anywhere here is inland. So if you're in the Pacific Ocean, you are getting near coastal time. This is going to go all the way up through Newport Beach. Pretty easily the same thing. If you're outside of the breakwaters, you can see the line from the breakwaters. This is near coastal. This is all inland. We're making our way up. Long Beach is pretty self-explanatory as well. If you are inside the bay at all in LA Long Beach, you are in inland waters. The second you cross through the breakwater thresholds, you've come over here, this is all near coastal. You can see on Catalina Island, this is all going to be near coastal until we get back into Avalon. So you can see in Avalon, there's a line that comes from Casino Point, basically right across White Rock to Avalon Point with just a little bit of casino in there. So this is all inland. So maybe the launch operator can drive back and forth, but everyone else, the second you get there, you're getting near coastal time. And the same thing on the north side here, 2 harbors where less people go, but inland waters and near coastal waters right here on the island. And as we make our way up north, we'll see Marina del Rey. Same thing, right? You'll notice the trend where it's anywhere you're pretty common sense near coastal versus inland, you're going to get credit for that. As we make our way continuing up north, same thing with Point Hueneme and the Channel Islands Harbor. So Port Hueneme, you can see there's the 2 breakwaters that come out. Same with Channel Islands Harbor, they have the long protected breakwater and the 2 little ones. So it's basically if you cross that threshold and come outside into the ocean, you're going to get near coastal credit for that. As we make our way north, that same thing happens for Ventura. So we can see the Ventura line, exact same. As moving our way up to Santa Barbara, we'll see the same one happening up here in a second. So Santa Barbara, you can see it coming out. This is all near coastal, and this is going to be all inland. As we make our way north and keep going, it's pretty straightforward that you are always going to be in near coastal waters as you're making your way up north on our adventure. At San Luis Obispo, you can see there's a little bit of inland waters, and then the whole rest is going to be near coastal. And same thing with Morro Bay, right at the harbor entrance, coming in and out. This is all near coastal, this is all inland. As we make our way north, we're going to keep seeing this is all near coastal waters. We're sailing away to near coastal waters all the way until we make it into the basically harbor entrance in Santa Cruz. So if you're here off Steamer's Lane, Seal Rock, you'll see this is all inland waters. If you're up in the marina, it's going to be inland waters. And then this is all near coastal. Whereas here at Capitola, it's all near coastal the whole way. Coming around, we'll see that at Moss Landing, there's the line coming across where if you're up in the slough, it's going to be near coast or inland. And this is all near coastal if you're off the slough. And the same thing down here in Monterey, right? So if you're within the small little wharf and you're inside the boat basin, you're going to be in inland waters, and then all the rest is going to be near coastal waters going all the way around and all the way up. So as we make our way up to San Francisco is pretty nice because it's really clear, right? So if you're taking that line from Point Bonita to Mile Rock Beach, everything inside of there going in through the gate is going to be inland waters. Everything outside is going to be near coastal, right? So the whole bay, everything going up is all inland, and only when you cross that line are you going to be in near coastal waters. As we make our way going up, same thing with Bodega Bay. If you're inside of Bodega Bay, you're going to be in inland waters, and then anything outside here is going to be near coastal waters, which is pretty helpful. As we make our way north, it's just kind of relying on that rule of if you think you're in inland waters, you probably are. For most of California, you're going to be in near coastal waters if you're out in the exposed Pacific Ocean. There aren't really any exceptions or hidden spots here in California. So then we can see if you're outside here in Oregon, it looks like. Did we hit Oregon? No, we're still in Eureka. So in Eureka, if you're outside, you're feeling the ocean, you're there. And if you're inside the breakwaters, you're starting to come out, you're in inland waters. And making our way up north here to Crescent City. Same thing, if you're inside the boat basin, you're going to be in inland waters. And then if you're outside here, that is all near coastal. This is all near coastal coming up to Brookings and Oregon. As we make our way up, same thing, the inland and near coastal. So you can see the Port Orford, the whole Port Orford is going to be near coastal the whole time because you're dropping them right in the water, as we know. Bandon, using common sense, if you're here at the breakwater, this is all going to be inland up the Coco River. This is all going to be near coastal. Don't try to play the system. This is just common sense. Be real. You're a captain. Coming here in Charleston and up here into Coos Bay, you can see everything up the Coos Bay is going to be inland, and everything out water to the safe water buoy is going to be near coastal. going all the way up the Oregon coast, making our way up all the way to the Oregon coast is pretty much the same thing. You know, depot, the same idea that if you're going into the hole in the wall, right, like you're going to be in that small little spot. This is all near coastal, but if you pull into Depot Bay itself, you know, that's pretty much where you want to call the line of near coastal or inland, though it's not officially in the rules. It's just common sense. As you make your way across, you're going to see here with Ilwaco and the Columbia River, this is all inland waters, right? So coming from Cape D and coming over to Fort Stevens, this is all inland waters. All the way up the Columbia River is inland waters. We don't have western rivers on the west coast, so that's all still inland waters going all the way up. Same thing with Tokeland, right? Just common sense says there's a line that comes across from Grayland all the way over to the point on the other side, on the end of Long Beach. That whole thing is just going to be all of Tokeland and Willapa Bay are inland waters. And same thing here with Westport. So Westport from Ocean Shores over to Westport, the Safe Water Buoy, all of Grace Harbor is going to be inland. Anything outside of there is going to be near coastal. So using common sense as you use those. Coming up here through the rest of Washington State. An interesting one that happens is you'll notice there is no line here, right? Like we got to go all the way in the Strait of Juan de Fuca and make our way into the Strait of Juan de Fuca until we get to where it's pretty surprising for most folks is from the lower Elwha. So it's not even Port Angeles or the Hook. It's all the way further west, whereas the lower Elwha is going to come all the way over here to the San Juan Islands. And so if you're on this side, you are in near coastal waters. If you're on this side of the island, you are on inland waters, right? So the whole Puget Sound, all the way down the strait, Hecata Strait coming north, the whole part, the Strait of Georgia, not Hecata Strait. Hecata Strait is all near coastal, but the Strait of Georgia is all going to be inland waters. All of the across, so Bellingham, all of Anacortes coming over. This is all inland waters. All of the running around inside of the San Juans is all inland waters. And it's only just this little bit if you cut around and start running that line between Canada and the US that you can get a little bit of near coastal time off of Roche. Not a lot of people end up that way, but just for your awareness. So then all of Puget Sound, all the way down to Olympia, and all the way up to Bellingham is all near coastal water or inland waters. But here, the second you hit the Canadian side of the Inside Passage, we are all into near coastal waters, right? So coming across, all offshore, inside and outside of Vancouver Island is all near coastal. We don't control it, so it's Canadian waters that are near coastal. And then the second we hit this line again, this is the edge for the Inside Passage of inland waters. So this whole part of the inland waters that everyone thinks of as being near coastal is inland, right? So check this out. All the way up, the entire Inside Passage is going to be inland waters. So this means if you're running a boat out of catch and you're taking people salmon fishing anywhere around here, you only need an inland OUPV or 100 ton. You don't need a near coastal endorsement as long as you stay within the Inside Passage, right? Same thing if you're up in Juneau, you're working up in basically anywhere in Southeast Alaska, as long as you stay within the inland waters, you are good to go. So you can work your way from Sitka and you can sail all the way around. And that's all going to be inland waters. Coming up to Yakutat, if you're in Yakutat, if you're inside of the Yakutat Bay, this is going to be inland, but the whole rest is going to be offshore, right? So this whole thing is offshore. It's the same thing coming around into Prince William Sound. So Prince William Sound, all of Prince William Sound is inland, and only when you cross the lines are you out here in the North Pacific Ocean and the near coastal waters. We're going to run into that as well with Seward. So you can see in Seward, the line's pretty far out here, right? So you have to be all the way out kind of exposed to be able to get that near coastal time. Whereas as long as you're inside here, you are getting inside, inland sea service credit, which means you can also operate inland. Same thing with anchorage. So starting basically all the way out here, this is the line. So anywhere on this side is near coastal. This is all inland. This whole thing is inland, which is pretty awesome or frustrating depending on who you are. But you can sail all the way in from Anchorage, go, take your small boat up and hit the small little town of Kenai, work your way over. This is all going to be able to be done in Cook Inlet with an inland license, but it means you won't get sea service credit unless you cross that threshold to get near coastal time. Same thing if you're down here and you're in Kodiak. Kodiak is completely inland in Marmot Bay. So if you're around Marmot Bay, cruising around, that's all inland. You cruise between Marmot Bay, you go through Whale Island, and you come over to the other side. This is all near coastal. This whole area is inland. So as you make it through the point and you make your turn coming into Kodiak, this is all inland, which means you could fish and take guests out with an inland license off of near Kodiak, but it also means the other way. You gotta be very careful to make sure that you go offshore to get that near coastal time when you're trying to get that license for near coastal. But then we can see the two ways to get out of Whale Island and Raspberry Island as you're making your way over here to the strait. This is all near coastal. This is all near coastal. Going to Chignik, the inside of Chignik Bay is going to be all inland. But anything out here is going to be all near coastal, right? So as you're making your way to like Castle Bay is inland, beautiful spot, but this is all near coastal. Same thing as you make your way down to the lagoon on Nelson Lagoon on the other side. This is all inland. This is all near coastal. As you make your way around, interestingly, like King Cove, near coastal the whole time. But as we make our way down to Akutan and Unalaska, we'll see Unalaska has, both Captain's Bay and Iliuk Bay are going to be both inland, whereas everything off of there is going to be near coastal. So everything in Unalaska Bay and Summer Bay here is all near coastal time. So breakwater is a little bit different than you'd normally imagine. And then as we make our way all the way out to Adak, you can see that's near coastal the whole way. So if you make your way out to Adak, you're going to be getting near coastal time. All of the Bering Sea is going to be near coastal, right? As you make your way all the way around. But as we make our way over here, you can see as you're making your way to Ninick or King Salmon, fun place to land an airplane when you're flying around. Everything in here is going to be inland, and then this in the Bering Sea is going to be near coastal. Same thing just north of there and west. You can see this is all inland waters, whereas this is near coastal. As we make our way up, same thing. There's a line of this is all inland, where this is near coastal, so you have to be outside this line to get near coastal time. And as you make your way up north to where not a lot of people go, we're going to see the same thing, right? So if you're up way north here, you're going to want to make sure that this is near coastal and this is going to be inland. And then as we make our way up to the very furthest north spot, we can see Wainwright all the way up and around Purdue. You're all going to be on near coastal waters. This is Nate from MMCs. Definitely happy to help you out, and hopefully this video made your life a little bit better. Have a great rest of your day.